Danes have contrived to give it away again. It is Gannon Doak with the tricks and McTominay! Have you ever seen anything like that? McLean. And it comes.
For decades, the Tartan Army had nothing to celebrate. 28 years passed between World Cup appearances, but after Kieran Tierney, Scott McTominay, and the whole team's effort, they're back to the World Cup. 28 years of near misses, playoff heartbreak, and watching other nations live out their dream.
Doesn't it make you proud to be Scottish?
It's shite being Scottish!
An entire generation of Scottish supporters grew up never seeing their country play at a World Cup, yet somehow their belief never died. The songs never stopped, the Tartan Army kept showing up, and whether they were winning, or most of the time losing, or finding a new way to break their hearts, the fans were always there, and convincing themselves the next tournament would be different. Now for the first time since France in '98, Scotland are back to the World Cup, and things do seem different, thanks to Steve Clarke and this amazing squad. Not because they're lucky, or they snuck through the playoffs, but Steve Clarke transformed Scottish football, and they have a possible golden generation on their last legs, and this may be their biggest chance ever. This isn't a miracle run, but it's the culmination of years of building the squad. When Clarke took over, Scottish football was not in a good place at all. They didn't have any stars, they had no momentum, and no tournaments to show for. The national team became synonymous with disappointment, expectations were very low, but instead Clarke changed the entire trajectory of Scottish football. Back-to-back Euros, a return to the World Cup with an amazing qualifying campaign, and the biggest achievement was the cultural and the tactical change. Scotland and its team developed an identity. It had a very strong spine, but when you have guys like John McGinn and his big ass playing wing, that's a team that's unique and needs to win in its own ways. No one enjoys playing against Scotland and how physical they are. They snuck wins against Spain or Norway or some of the best teams in the world. This is Scotland's golden window. The timing could not be better. Everyone's in their prime for the World Cup. Robertson moved to Spurs, but he still is a great defender. Kieran Tierney, another amazing left back. Billy Gilmour sadly got injured, but you still have midfielders like John McGinn or Ryan Christie tearing it up in the Prem. And then Scott McTominay, McJesus, having a Ballon d'Or campaign for Napoli, which is insane. But he was a bust at United for years, and now he is a superstar. And Scotland's now known on a national stage, especially in Italy. But every great tournament needs a run of players capable of carrying them into the World Cup. And this is a 48-team tournament. Scotland has a tough group. Brazil, Morocco, Haiti. That's not going to be easy. Brazil and Morocco are extremely tough, and teams that they played in the same group at France in '98. But Clarke and his tactics are making Scotland win for a reason. They cannot play like Brazil. Before Ben Doak, who's one of the most talented wingers on the team, you had maybe Ryan Christie or John McGinn. Those are not typical wingers, and they're more Scottish wingers with less flair and more running and physicality. They need to win by playing their own game. Steve Clarke experimented with a 3-back system and a 4-back through the qualifying process. Having 3 in the back allows Tierney to play a left center back and Robertson to play a left wing back. It gives them a ton of defensive security, but way more attacking force, especially on the wings, when you consider the lack of attacking threat that Scotland's had historically. Shea Adams playing for Scotland was a huge push, but he's the same age as Shanklin now, who might be the best striker for Scotland, and they don't have a young, true number 9 to help them. If Clarke deploys 3 in the back or 4 in the back, it needs to maximize the strength of the squad. They have a strong spine, solid defenders, but really need to focus on scoring goals. This is where guys like McGinn, Ryan Christie, and McTominay become so valuable. They can play box to box, they can take the ball, carry it, advance it, but I think the winning will be happening on the wings. I think Tierney needs to get game time. Robertson, Hickey need to drive up the wings, cross it in, and someone like McTominay could maybe score a bicycle kick. Who knows? They finally have more attacking options. Ben Doak is a very aggressive winger. He's still a little bit of a raw product, but that's exactly what you need to win. Scotland's attack often relies on crossing, and Ben Doak actually gives them, if he can play inverted winger or dribble it through the wings, another option to score some goals and create chances. They're not going to be able to beat Brazil or Morocco 4-0 like they've done to Bolivia or other teams in qualifying, but I 100% believe that Scotland can qualify through this tough group. You have Morocco, Brazil, Scotland, and Haiti, and this is the order I think they can finish. I think Scotland can beat Haiti, and then if they can pick up a single point from Morocco or Brazil, which is definitely possible but very tough, I think the third place finish and a top 8 team out of the third place teams is extremely possible for Scotland. And yes, I do have Morocco topping the group. I think they're going to shock Brazil, who often struggles in the World Cup early on. But going into the knockouts, a third place finish for Scotland happens to align with South Korea at Mexico, and I think that's a definite win. You might have former Celtic player, but I think Scotland can get the win there. And then if they can get Croatia, not the worst draw ever. Croatia is a little bit older. Scotland can easily beat them in their own game, and then maybe take on Morocco in their quarterfinal matchup from their group stage. But quarterfinals for the first World Cup in 28 years is not the worst result for Scotland, who could move on, take on Portugal, maybe even win the entire World Cup.